Grand Rising, everyone. Thanks for tuning Blaque in once again to the Queen Ahmaud Shakur TV show and to Authentic Black Goddess TV. I'm your host, Queen Ahmaud Shakur, and this is the first morning wake-up call. All right, I almost said daily vitamins. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click the notification bell and click the word all so that you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Queen Ahmaud Shakur. And you can also follow the Queen Ahmaud Shakur fan page. And you can find me on Twitter at DGoddess27. All right. Okay, so hello, Do Cigarillo, Black Women Stand Up, Asha, Danny, Rhonda, Nene Knows. All right. JB, I see you, Queen Candy J, CH464, Iris Ann. Shout out to everyone in the chat and everyone tuned in to the Queen. All right, no cost low. Danielle, Nita, Charlotte, TC, Bayina, Pensilola. Okay, Greg and Jeremy, Rashid. I see you. Let's get into it, people, because we have back-to-back lives as per usual. Okay, now listen to this. Before we get into Keisha Lance, the bottoms, right? So the Texas police found 6 young children left alone in filth and squalor, leading to the mother's arrest. What is going on with people and mistreating their children? This is so crazy. So, and these are 2 different mothers, right? 2 moms. Okay, so 2 Texas mothers have been charged with endangering a child after their 6 children, who range in ages from 1 to 9, were discovered living in squalor inside of a Houston residence. Now, online court records accessed by People confirmed the allegations against Reese Padilla Hernandez, who's 28 years old, and then Urez Molina, who's 34. Now, the women were arrested February the 2nd after the Houston police were called to the apartment complex by a maintenance worker who spotted one of the women's barefooted children walking dangerously close around a swimming pool. This is just so crazy. Why do these people have kids if they're not going to take care of them? And then you just allow them to walk around a swimming pool? So then unattended. Now, do you know how many children die every year from falling in pools while they're left unattended by stupid parents like these? So officers arrived to find a little girl who was dirty and unsupervised. Now, the little girl's older brother allegedly led officers back to their apartment, where 4 other small children were found alone. Police did not say if the 2 mothers are related, but they were sharing the apartment. And according to investigators, Padilla Hernandez's 1-year-old son was found confined to a crib. Now, the boy, who has special needs, was so hungry. Oh, my goodness. This poor child, a 1-year-old, was so hungry, he had started to eat his own excrements. This is just so sad and disgusting. Who lives like this? So some of the children, ages 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, and 9, were allegedly covered in filth and lice. Now, they need to be tarred. They really need to be tarred and feathered, okay? And put under the jail. This is so sick. We have a 4-year-old missing for a week in Hampton. Wow, that's sad to hear. Yes, it's disgusting, trouble gaming. Now, they say Molina was not home when the officers arrived. As investigators were making their way through the apartment, Padilla Hernandez returned, claiming that she was out getting her tax return prepared. Say what? So you left all these kids 1 through 9 years old at home by themselves to go get your taxes done? You couldn't take them with you? And why is the house so disgusting? Filth and lice? Oh my goodness. Both women posted $15,000 bond for their release. People was unable to reach either mother or either woman for comment on Tuesday. They're due back in court in early April. They don't know if they have attorneys yet. This is just also sick. And here's the 2 thugs right here. I'm going to let you see these 2. So nefarious. V. Mosby said, where are the fathers? Who knows, honey? I don't even have a clue. All so crazy. Look at them. Now they're sitting up there looking crazy. One of them looks like she's been crying her eyes out. Should have thought about that before she allowed those children to live that way. It's just so sick. Fort Law said, you're so fine and divine, Queen. Well, thank you for your kind words, beloved. Melanated Brown said, "Oh, I see. Now you're live on both. I guess I haven't awakened a way some people shouldn't have babies, period." Absolutely. Absolutely. Pensacola said they look wicked. Well, honey, they definitely are, okay? That's just also sick. Shawana said claiming all those kids and doing absolutely nothing to benefit them. Unfit Betties. You know what? That is it, right? I mean, you can imagine how much they get back on their tax refunds. This is just also ridiculous and sad to boot. So anyway, now listen to this. Hold on. So they started the jury selection for the federal hate crime of Ahmaud Arbery's thugged out killers, right? So they say potential jurors showed up for the second day of court in a high-profile federal trial. Jury selection began this week in the federal hate crime trial for the men who killed Ahmaud Arbery. Now, the judge in the case said on Tuesday that they've made great progress. So far, 44 potential jurors have passed the first round of questioning. So Channel 2's Tony Thomas, who has covered Arbery's death investigation from the beginning, was back in Brunswick to cover the federal trial as well. And Thomas watched as Arbery's family sat in the courtroom Tuesday, listening with growing confidence. Marcus Arbery sat just a few feet away from his son's convicted killers. Can you imagine? I'm sure he wanted to wring their necks, because I would have wanted to and may have done it. So now, hold on, because I do believe, there's a video. So I'm going to share my screen so you all can see what the family's saying outside the court. Okay? Everyone, please get those likes up. Please like and share. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already.
Profile federal trial. Jury selection began this week in the federal hate crimes trial for the men who killed Ahmaud Arbery. Channel 2's Tony Thomas is the only Atlanta TV reporter in the courtroom today. And Tony, the judge seemed pleased with how things are going at this point.
Yeah, they've been moving along pretty well, Linda. So far, 47 potential jurors have been qualified, and that has the victim Ahmaud Arbery's family confident going into the trial.
Evidence always overwhelming, so it don't matter who they pick.
Marcus Arbery sat just a few feet away from his son's convicted killers Tuesday, listening as potential jurors in this federal hate crimes trial answered questions from the judge about what they knew of the case. Do you think it'll be any tougher of a battle this time compared to the last?
No. One thing about the whole world know what's going on and what they done.
Greg and Travis McMichael, along with Roddy Bryan, were already convicted of murdering Ahmaud Arbery. The key evidence, this video taken by Bryan showing the chase and shooting of the unarmed Arbery. But the alleged motive behind the killing, racial hate, is at the center of this second case. One potential juror Tuesday voiced frustration, saying if they are already convicted, I don't know why they would have another trial. Another juror said she had very negative views of the defendants. I'm already going in with some preconceived ideas about it. Those two were among the 5 excused by the judge Tuesday. 13 people remain for more questioning next week. The judge hopes to have a jury in place Monday.
All it takes is them to see the evidence. That's all they need.
Late today, the judge said opening statements for Tuesday. Live in Brunswick, Tony Thomas, Channel 2 Action News.
Now, someone asked in the chat, why do they keep showing the father? Well, for obvious reasons. You all know how anytime something happens and they look for witnesses on the scene, they'll go and find the black person who's talking crazy, using bad English, and just looks, like they don't care, right? Y'all know how they do. So that's why they keep putting him in front of the camera. That's exactly what it is. Hold on. Fit Nutrition says Biden's son Hunter wants those pipes and he wants black people to get back on crack so they can lock us up. And you can't say anything about meth. You know what? That's true. Okay. No doubt in my mind about that. All right. So let's go ahead and get into it. Absolutely. Absolutely believe it, beloved. So this is just all so ridiculous. I mean, Biden doesn't want to give foundational Black Americans reparations or any tangibles, but he wants to give us crack pipes. Somebody make that make sense. And you know, the first thing that came to my mind is they're trying to get Black people back on crack because crack is no longer an epidemic. Okay, you scarcely see crackheads walking around. There's very few. But there's a whole lot of meth heads and opioid addicted people having overdoses on a daily. Now, I read a story just earlier this morning about an apartment complex where like 6 or 7 people were found dead, right? And it was all because of overdoses on fentanyl that was laced in their drugs. So anyway, Biden administration to fund programs that hand out crack pipes to prevent infection and promote racial equity. So that's how he wants to give us racial equity. You know what I'm starting to think? Now, just maybe this whole thing with venom wasn't working. Black folks weren't doing it the way they wanted them to. So they said, you know what? Let's just give them crack. Let's just give them crack pipes. Hold on. President Biden's Health and Human Services Department, HHS, is finalizing funding to dole out crack pipes to drug addicts as part of its harm reduction plan. If they want to be fair and have racial equity, here's what they should have done as it pertains to crack. They should have gone and made a bill so that those who have been incarcerated all these years for selling crack or taking crack back in the day, just let them out. Because after all, they demonized and criminalized crack, but they made the opioid crisis a healthcare crisis. So why don't they just go and let those Black people out? Because they sure didn't send all those white folk on opioids to prison for years. That's what they didn't do. So the $30 million grant program, which accepted applications until Monday and will be doling out money in May, intends to provide funds to nonprofits and local governments to make drug use safer, to advance racial equality. You know, I'm going to tell you all something. I have told you all before, I have told you all numerous of times that when the devils do something nefarious, they often do it under the guise as if they're doing us a favor. How many times have I said that? They make it look like they're doing us a favor, like they're helping us, when really they're doing something to our detriment. And sadly, some of our people likely fall for it. Okay? Now, included in the grant is money to purchase safe smoking kit supplies. A spokesperson for HHS told the Washington Free Beacon that included in these kits could be pipes for users to smoke substances like crack cocaine and crystal methamphetamine, or any illicit substance. So any substance that's illicit, not just crack, it's not relegated to that. They're clearly trying to get rid of Black people, honey. I don't care what they say. When you go issuing out crack pipes, there is no way you can make that seem like it's a good thing. And my question is, did Hunter Biden put him up to this? Okay, where is his crack pipe? Does he still even have it? He surely does. I believe it. Now, HHS said that the kits will serve to limit the risk of infection, as if they care. You know, it's funny. They're worried about Black people getting infections from taking drugs, but they haven't done anything about the water crisis in Michigan. They still haven't solved that problem. I'm just saying. Typically, users smoke out of glass pipes, which can lead to cuts and sores that may become infected with diseases like hepatitis. Handing out pipes is also intended to prompt users to smoke rather than inject themselves with some substances like meth, as an injection is far riskier. Here's the thing, though. I want y'all to pay attention. They're talking about giving out crack pipes to Black folk to promote racial equity. Y'all know what they're saying, right? That all crackheads are Black people. And Biden, of all people, should know that's absolutely unequivocally not true, because his son is a whole crackhead, okay? So why are they only giving the crack pipes to Black folk? I'm just curious. Anyway, applicants for the program get priority if they serve underserved communities. That's another word for Black. You know, they always talk in code. Impoverished, urban, underserved, disparaged. That all means Black. So such as African Americans or Native Americans or LGBTQ people. Interesting. Now, the crack cocaine epidemic starting in the 80s disproportionately ravaged the Black community. Well, yes, it did. That's because the CIA put crack in our communities. So they didn't put it in the white folks' community. I'm just saying. So, of course, it ravaged ours. And it looks like from the sounds of it, they're trying to make it ravage our communities again. I hope people are paying attention to these devils. Now, other harm reduction supplies that could be purchased with the grant money include testing equipment for sexually transmitted diseases, overdose reversal medication, medication lock boxes, syringes, and substance test kits. Now, the grant program lasts 3 years and includes 25 awards of up to $400,000. It is against the law to sell or distribute drug paraphernalia, including such pipes, unless authorized by the state, local, or federal law. Isn't that something? It's illegal unless the government authorizes it. Okay? And that's why I've told you all also numerous of times that just because something is a law doesn't mean that it's moral, right? Doesn't mean that it's right. It just means it's something that the government did. And most of the things the government do, in my opinion, are clearly nefarious and definitely against Black people. Now, there were an estimated 1,306 drug overdose deaths in the 12-month period ending in April of 2021, according to the CDC. Now, a 28.5% increase from those from the previous year. 3/4 of those deaths involved opioids. Yes, we know. Many of them being synthetic opioids, such as meth or fentanyl. Cities like San Francisco and Seattle have experimented with their own crack pipe kit distribution programs. Others have backed away from such plans. Now, Louisville, Kentucky allowed convenience stores to sell drug kits before later banning them from doing so. Meanwhile, the Justice Department or the DOJ signaled Monday it may allow safe injection sites to open up across the U.S., and such sites would be safe havens where drug users could use heroin and other narcotics freely without risking arrest in the environment monitored by health professionals. So let me get this straight. They have time to allocate funds to this foolishness and to also let health professionals waste their time with drug addicts. I'm sorry. The only thing I would be doing to help drug addicts, I want you to pay attention. The government is literally enabling people. Now, the only thing I would be wasting my time doing with drug addicts would be trying to get them in rehab. Why aren't they spending this money on rehabilitation programs to get people off of drugs? Why not just do that? Why would you spend money to enable them? Because that's all you're doing. It's enabling people. The DOJ told the Associated Press it was evaluating such facilities and talking to regulators about the appropriate guardrails. The DOJ under the Trump administration had prosecutors who fought aggressively against the plan to open safe consumption sites in Philadelphia. Well, they should be fighting against it. Now, although we cannot comment on pending litigation, the department is evaluating supervised consumption sites, including discussions with state and local regulators about appropriate guardrails for such sites as part of an overall approach to harm reduction and public safety. The agency said this in a statement on Friday, by the way. Now, a divided appeals court last year ruled the safe injection sites would violate the 1980s era drug law aimed at crack houses. Yes, they're trying to not only give you crack pipes, Black people, they're trying to give you crack houses. That's what they're trying to do. Legal crack houses. I want you to pay attention to the nefariousness of it all. This is absolutely what they're doing. Now, the Supreme Court in October declined to take up the case. About 6 weeks later, the first officially authorized safe injection sites opened in New York City. The 2 facilities, which the city calls overdose prevention centers, I call them enabling centers, all right? They provide a monitored place for drug users to partake with staffers and supplies on hand to reverse overdoses. Honey, those are for the people on opioids. Now, the New York City sites, I'm talking about the reversal, right? Because we know they have something to help them, to keep them alive. Now, the New York City sites so far have intervened in more than 110 overdoses among more than 500 users, many of whom had multiple visits, according to On Point NYC, the organization running program. And this was for those who were overdosing on opioids. Now, someone says, is this a cruel joke? Drug overdose deaths are at their highest recorded levels. The Biden administration should focus on stopping traffickers instead of creating more demand for their product. This is what Senator Senator Tom Cotton said. He wrote this on Twitter of the Justice Department's consideration of these facilities. Let me tell you something. I do not like Senator Tom Cotton. He's clearly a racist. We remember what he said about picking cotton not too long ago. But at the end of the day, I have to agree with this. I have to agree with him on this. Because at the end of the day, why are you furnishing these things and enabling people to further be in their detriment? He should absolutely, his whole administration, they should absolutely be trying to get task forces to lock up these people who are trafficking these drugs, okay? And to go after these doctors who are also giving people the opioids. They need to lose their licenses. Not giving out crack pipes, that is not the thing to do. Listen to this. Somebody left a comment saying, just when I think this administration couldn't get any further away from reality, this happens. What's wrong with them? Someone said Hunter Biden has been named director of this program as he has firsthand experience. Oh, this is all so nefarious, people. What do y'all think about this? I mean, this is just so crazy and egregious. They're doing everything to decrease the population, says Changes. I believe it. Nene No says, hold on, chat is moving quickly. Nene No says, I guess all the responsible crackheads should be happy. This is just foolish. Right, absolutely. Hey, Terry Lee King. Terry says, they are so ridiculous. What's the point of the pipes? Without the crack? Bozos, I wink. Wink. Always using blacks as a smokescreen. Love you, Queen. You work in the white. Love it. Thank you, beloved, for your kind words, and I love you right, Black. Shawana says, drug dealers go to jail for life selling all these drugs, but the government pharmaceutical companies giving it out for free. Make it make sense. Absolutely. That's what they can never do. They make no sense. They are a complete contradiction. Now, you're arresting people for selling the drugs, but at the same time enabling the buyers. How does that make a bit of sense? And like I said, this is definitely just to get Black people. See, here's the thing. They have this opioid crisis. And in my opinion, this is nothing more than chickens coming home to roost. Because like I told you, in the 80s, when the CIA put all of that crack in Black people's neighborhoods, and they said there was a war on drugs, you know, Ronald Reagan and Nancy Reagan talking about a war on drugs, which was really a war on Black people. But now the chickens have come home to roost. And so the drug problem that they put in our community is now taking over theirs, okay? That's why the birth rates are decreasing and the death rate is rising. And they know this. So now, what did I tell you all a year ago? What did I tell you all? I said the devils know what's going on with them. They know they're leaving this place. And before they leave and allow us to stay here, they're going to take as many of us out with them as they can. That's all this is, another ploy to bring Black folks down. This is not to help us. And they're real tricky because if you don't have common sense, which some people sadly don't, and if you don't use critical thinking skills, then you may actually say, oh, they're helping Black people. They're doing the same thing for us that they did for their own people. No, they're not. No, they're not. That is not the plan, okay? Issuing out crack pipes, allowing people to smoke crack for free, opening crack houses, no less, and calling it overdose prevention centers. First of all, how often do people overdose on crack? I'm just curious. But I tell you what, I do know that they absolutely hundreds, thousands of people overdose on opioids every day. Okay? Please, don't try to take us down with the ship. Dark Skinned Brother says, we're going to see a lot of crazy stuff from those people coming up in the next election. Absolutely. And then Millie says, money maker for the government. Yes. It's a win-win for them. Terry Hinton says, big pharma. Right, big pharma, biggest drug dealers. Yes, I agree. Absolutely. Absolutely. So anyway, that's just also nefarious. With that all being said, I'm going to conclude this broadcast. Pitsy Lola says, good riddance, Babylon. We ain't having it. Right. We are absolutely not. So like I said, they're very, Judah Queen said, you enjoying this Biden sexuals. Right. Here's the thing. I want all those Black folk who voted for Biden and Kabami to pay attention. What have they done that is substantial, significant, or good for Black people since they got in office. I remember when they first won a couple of months in, when I was talking about what they hadn't done and how they were doing all these things for other groups like the Asians, right? Anti-Asian hate crime bill and all of this foolishness, when we're the ones who've been suffering from hate crimes for centuries, but nothing for us, no anti-lynching bill or any of those things. And when I was saying those things, a lot of these bisexuals, Black ones, were saying, well, they just got in office. Give them a chance. They haven't had time. Well, now they've had time. They've had time to do everything else except something significant or beneficial for Black people. So I'm just wondering how you all feel. I'm just wondering what you all think of yourselves. I'm just curious. I am just curious because this administration has done nothing but try to set Black people back. And that's just facts. Okay? And I don't know how our people even voted for them because they told us to our faces they weren't going to do anything. Kabami said it best. No, I'm not doing anything specifically for African Americans. No. And Biden said the immigrants are the future. Get used to it. That should have told you that they were only going to do things for the immigrants, which is all they've basically done. So anyway, with that all being said, I'm going to conclude this broadcast. Coming right Black, we're going to talk about Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms. She's about to join CNN. Hilarious, okay? So everyone, please like and share. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click the notification bell and click the word all so that you're notified each time I go live. Also, don't forget to follow me on Instagram at QueenAhmaud You can also follow the Queen Ahmaud Shakur fan page, and you can find me on Twitter at DGoddess27. Peace.